All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to tackle a huge topic: how artificial intelligence is set to completely reshape the world of work. And to make it real, we're going to use the telecom industry as our crystal ball. Believe me, this future is coming way faster than you might think.
Okay, so first things first, let's look at this timeline. Think of this as our roadmap for today's journey. We're breaking AI down into three distinct phases. First up is artificial narrow intelligence, or ANI, which is basically where we are now until about 2030. Then things get really interesting with artificial general intelligence, AGI, kicking in from 2030 onwards. And finally, the big one, artificial superintelligence, ASI, which is projected to arrive around 2040.
So here's the game plan. We're going to walk through each of those three stages: ANI, AGI, and ASI. We'll look at how each one is going to change jobs and companies, and then we'll get to the really big question: what does all this mean for us? Let's start with ANI, artificial narrow intelligence. Now, this is the AI you're probably already bumping into every day. Think of things like ChatGPT or Midjourney. It's incredibly good at one specific thing, and right now, its main purpose is to make businesses work better, faster, and smarter.
So check out this table. You start to see a really clear pattern, right? ANI is basically the ultimate assistant. In customer support, you've got AI chatbots handling most of the routine calls, which frees up the human agents for the really tricky, emotional situations. In sales, AI is a lead-generating machine, letting the salespeople do what humans do best: build relationships and trust. The theme here is pretty clear. Let the AI handle the repetitive stuff and let humans focus on strategy, judgment, and connection. And this isn't just about software, not by a long shot. Especially in an industry like telecom, with all this physical gear, AI-powered robots are an absolute game changer. You've got drones zipping around inspecting cell towers in bad weather, specialized little bots squeezing into tight spaces to lay fiber optic cables. It's all about automating the dangerous, repetitive physical work and keeping people safe.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's not about everyone losing your jobs overnight. No, it's about a massive job redefinition. The skills that suddenly become super valuable are the ones that are uniquely human. You know, the complex problem solving for when the robot messes up, or the empathy you need to close a huge deal. It's all about specializing in that human interface, providing that ethical oversight, and learning to work with the AI.
Okay, now hold on, because this is where things get really wild. We're moving on to AGI, artificial general intelligence, which many experts think is coming around 2030. And this is a whole different ballgame. AGI isn't just a tool anymore, it's more like an autonomous colleague that has human-level intelligence, or even better, across pretty much everything.
Just look at the impact here. We're not talking about assisting anymore. AGI is literally taking over entire departments. It comes up with the corporate strategy, and humans are just there to give the final okay. Customer service? It says total replacement, handled by an AI with superhuman empathy and logic. Software development teams get tiny because the AGI writes and tests its own code. Humans get pushed into these roles of ultimate accountability and managing the messy human relationships that an AGI might not get.
And this right here, this is the absolute game changer. This is what happens when AGI gets a body. All of our human limits, fatigue, danger, needing to sleep, they just vanish. AGI-powered robots can work 24/7, 365 days a year. But the craziest part is the skill transfer. Imagine a skill that takes a human engineer decades to master, and AGI learns it once, and poof, every single robot knows it instantly. The whole idea of seniority and experience gets turned completely on its head.
So, where does that leave us? In a world where an AGI can figure out how to do pretty much anything, our value completely flips. It's no longer about the how, it's all about the why. And maybe more importantly, the should we. The most important human jobs become being that final ethical line of defense, taking responsibility for what the AGI does, and, crucially, setting its purpose, defining the vision for what this incredible technology should even be working on. So what happens to the company itself? Well, the whole corporate pyramid structure we know, it just flattens completely. You end up with a small group of human visionaries and ethicists at the top, guiding this vast, almost infinite workforce of AGIs and robots that do all the execution. Okay, take a deep breath. We're now heading into the final stage. ASI, artificial superintelligence. Predicted for around 2040. And honestly, this is where our human brains start to struggle, because we're talking about an intelligence so far beyond the combined brain power of every human who has ever lived that it's almost unimaginable. To even try and wrap our heads around ASI, we have to talk about something straight out of science fiction: nanorobots. An ASI wouldn't just think on a level we can't comprehend, it would master the physical world. Imagine it designing and building machines the size of molecules, machines that can build copies of themselves and repair themselves. This isn't just a better robot. It's a technology that changes the fundamental rules of how our world works. So picture this. An ASI is the brain, and these nanobots are its hands, rebuilding the world at the atomic level. What does that mean for telecom? Well, infrastructure doesn't break down, ever. It's constantly being perfected and repaired at a molecular level. The entire idea of maintenance is gone. Research that would take us 1,000 years, done in seconds. And because of that, every single human job, from the CEO all the way down, doesn't just get automated. The entire reason for the job to exist in the first place vanishes. And that brings us to this staggering idea, a quote that really sums it all up. The very concept of labor, of working to survive, it could be over for good. This isn't just another industrial revolution, it's a fundamental turning point for our species. So, what on earth do we do? If you don't have to work, what's the point? Well, the focus has to pivot, right? Away from economic production and towards, well, just exploring what it means to be human. Things like art, philosophy, community. Maybe a few people serve as ethical guardians trying to translate human values to an ASI. But let's be real, the biggest challenge will be building a whole new society where your purpose in life isn't defined by your job. That is a monumental task.
All right, let's zoom back out for a second and just take one last look at the incredible journey we've just been on. This chart just lays it all out perfectly. We start with ANI, a powerful tool that makes us shift our skills. Then we get to AGI, a partner, or maybe a rival, that wipes out entire categories of jobs. And we end with ASI, something so far beyond us, an incomprehensible being that eliminates the very concept of labor itself. The scale of this change is just, wow. And that's where we have to leave it, with this one single question. Because this stops being about technology, doesn't it? It becomes deeply, deeply philosophical. As we've seen today, this future isn't some far-off sci-fi dream. So I'll leave you with this to think about. When we're finally free from the need to work, what do we actually live for?